Captain Jake Morrison stared at the readings on his screen. Something was wrong. The numbers didn't make sense. His ship, Earth's Dawn, was supposed to be alone in this empty part of space, but the sensors were picking up something massive. "Lisa, take us closer to that gas giant," Jake said to his pilot. Lisa Carter nodded and pushed the ship forward. Her hands moved over the controls with practiced ease. "Captain, I'm getting some strange readings," called out Tony Rodriguez from the engineering station. "There's definitely something out there, something big." Amy Walsh looked up from her communications console. "Sir, I'm not picking up any signals. Whatever it is, it's completely silent." Jake had been exploring space for 10 years. He knew when something felt wrong. This felt very wrong. The object was hiding behind the gas giant, almost like it was trying to stay hidden. "Put it on the main screen," Jake ordered. The image that appeared made everyone on the bridge go quiet. It was a structure unlike anything they had ever seen. It looked like a massive crystal that had been grown instead of built. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The surface seemed to glow with its own light. "How big is that thing?" Jake asked. Tony checked his instruments. "It's about 5 kilometers long, maybe 3 kilometers wide. Captain, this is definitely not human technology." Jake felt his heart racing. This was it. This was what every explorer dreamed of and feared. First contact with an alien species. He had trained for this moment, but now that it was here, he felt completely unprepared. "Amy, send a peaceful greeting on all frequencies. Let them know we come in peace." Amy's fingers flew over her console. "Message sent, sir. Broadcasting on all standard frequencies." They waited. The silence stretched on for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Then, without warning, the alien structure began to move. Lights flickered across its surface. Parts of it that had seemed solid suddenly became transparent. Jake could see movement inside, but he couldn't make out what was moving. "Captain," Amy said, her voice tight with worry, "I'm getting a response. Put it through." The voice that came through their speakers was unlike anything Jake had ever heard. It sounded like wind blowing through crystal caves. When it spoke, Jake could somehow understand the words, even though they weren't in any human language. "Primitive, mammals from the death world. You should not be here. You should not exist in space." Jake stepped forward. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Earth's Dawn. We come in peace. We seek friendly contact with your people." The voice laughed. It was a cold sound that made Jake's skin crawl. "Friendly contact? You misunderstand your place in the galaxy, Deathworlder. I am Commander Zethkar of the Vorthan Empire. We have watched your species for many cycles. We know what you are." "What do you mean by Deathworlder?" Jake asked. "Your world is a nightmare of violence and death. Poisonous air, crushing gravity, deadly storms, savage beasts. Most species in the galaxy would die within moments on your world. We call such places death worlds. We never expected the creatures living there to develop space travel." Jake felt a flash of anger. "Earth is our home. We've learned to live there. We've learned to thrive there." "Yes, and that makes you dangerous. Very dangerous. The galaxy has peace because civilized species understand their place. Deathworlders like you bring only chaos and war." The alien structure was moving closer now. Jake could see weapon ports opening along its sides. His training kicked in. "Lisa, prepare for evasive maneuvers. Tony, bring all systems online. Amy, send an emergency message to Earth. Tell them we've made contact and it's not going well." "Captain," Tony called out, "they're jamming our communications. I can't get a signal through to Earth." The alien voice spoke again. "You will not warn your world. You will not spread your violence to the peaceful galaxy. The Vorthan Empire has kept order for 1,000 years. We will not let Deathworlders destroy what we have built." Jake saw the weapons charging up. Bright energy was building in the alien weapon ports. "All hands, brace for impact." The first blast hit their shields and shook the entire ship. Jake was thrown against his chair. Emergency lights flashed red throughout the bridge. "Shields down to 60%, Tony shouted over the alarms. "Return fire," Jake ordered. Earth's Dawn was not a warship. It was an exploration vessel with light, defensive weapons. But Lisa was an excellent pilot, and she put the ship through maneuvers that would have been impossible for most alien crews to follow. Their missiles struck the alien structure, but barely scratched its surface. The return fire was devastating. Another blast brought their shields down to 20%. We can't win this fight, Jake realized. Lisa, prepare for emergency jump to hyperspace. Sir, the jump drive is damaged. I need at least 30 seconds to bring it online. We don't have 30 seconds. The alien structure was moving closer, preparing for a final strike. Jake watched death approaching and felt strangely calm. At least Earth would know that humanity was not alone in the universe. Then Tony did something that probably saved all their lives. He vented the ship's entire waste disposal system directly at the alien structure. It was crude, disgusting, and completely unexpected. The alien commander's voice came through their speakers, filled with disgust and rage. Savages! Absolute savages! This confirms everything we suspected about Deathworlders. But the distraction gave Lisa the time she needed. Jump drive online, going to hyperspace now. The stars stretched into lines, and they were away. Jake slumped in his chair as the ship entered hyperspace. They were alive, but barely, and they had learned something terrible. Humanity was not alone in the universe, and they had already made enemies. Set course for Earth, Jake said quietly. Best possible speed. As Earth's dawn raced home through hyperspace, none of them could know that this single encounter would change everything. The galaxy had dismissed humanity as primitive Deathworlders who would never be a threat. That was their first mistake. Their second mistake was attacking first and asking questions later. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous enemies are the ones you underestimate. And Earth, the death world that had forged humanity in fire and storm and struggle, had created something the peaceful galaxy had never seen before. It had created survivors. It had created fighters. It had created humans. The Deathworlders were coming home, and they were very, very angry. The news hit Earth like a bomb. Every television, every computer screen, every phone showed the same footage. The attack on Earth's dawn, the alien voice calling humans Deathworlders, the weapons firing on a peaceful exploration ship. President Helen Brooks stood in the emergency session of the United Nations. The Great Hall was packed with world leaders who had flown in from every corner of the globe. For the first time in decades, every seat was filled. Ladies and gentlemen, President Brooks said, her voice carrying to every corner of the room, we are not alone, and whoever is out there sees us as a threat that must be destroyed. The footage played again on the massive screens. Captain Jake, Morrison's tired face appeared as he gave his report. They called our world a death world. They said we shouldn't exist. They tried to kill us just for being human. In the back of the room, General Marcus Stone leaned forward in his chair. He was a career military man who had seen combat in 3 different wars. The alien attack didn't surprise him. It made him angry. What are our options? Asked the secretary. General Dr. Elena Vasquez stepped up to the podium. She was Earth's leading expert on alien life, though until 3 days ago that had been mostly theoretical. Now she was the most important scientist on the planet. I've been studying the wreckage that Earth's dawn brought back, she said. The alien technology is advanced, but it's not magic. Their weapons are powerful, but they're designed to fight against species very different from us. She clicked a button, and new images appeared on the screens. Pieces of crystal-like metal and strange energy readings. Their shields are built to stop certain types of energy weapons. Their armor is designed to protect against specific kinds of attacks. But look at this. She highlighted a section of the wreckage. When our crude missile hit them, it did more damage than they expected. Their technology assumes they're fighting other civilized species with similar weapons. General Stone stood up. What are you saying, Doctor? I'm saying they're not prepared for how we fight. Every species they know probably developed on peaceful worlds. They fight with rules. They fight with honor. We fight to win. The room erupted in discussion. Some delegates called for immediate surrender. Others demanded total war. President Brooks called for order. We need to be ready, she said. If they attacked one ship, they'll attack more. We need to prepare for the worst. Across the world, the response was immediate. In shipyards from Seattle to Shanghai, workers began converting civilian vessels into warships. The mining ship Iron Horse, captained by Sam Murphy, was the first to volunteer for conversion. Sam was a tough woman who had spent 20 years hauling asteroids through dangerous space. When she heard about the alien attack, she didn't hesitate. If they want a fight, we'll give them one, she told the engineers who were installing weapons on her ship. The Iron Horse has survived solar storms, asteroid fields, and reactor failures. A few aliens won't stop us. Admiral Chris Taylor was put in charge of Earth's space defense. He was a quiet man who had spent his career planning for battles that might never come. Now those plans were the most important documents on Earth. We need to think differently, he told his staff. These aliens have been in space for thousands of years. They have better technology, but they don't understand us. Rebecca Foster was one of the engineers working around the clock to prepare Earth's defenses. She was young, brilliant, and completely focused on the task at hand. Captain Morrison was right, she told her team as they worked on new weapon designs. Their commander sounded disgusted when we used unconventional tactics. They think we're savages. Maybe that's our advantage. The work was incredible. In just 2 weeks, Earth's entire industrial capacity was focused on preparation for war. Factories that made cars started making missiles. Companies that built computers started building targeting systems. But the most important work was being done by Dr. Vasquez and her team. They were learning everything they could about the aliens from the wreckage and recordings. Look at this, Dr. Vasquez said to her assistant, Dr. Kevin Park. She was pointing at scans of the alien structure. See how delicate their internal systems are. Everything is built for efficiency and beauty. Nothing is built to take damage. Dr. Park nodded. It makes sense if they never expect to be in real combat. Most of their wars probably end with the first shot. Exactly. But look at this. She showed him scans of Earth's dawn after the battle. Our ship took massive damage and kept fighting. We kept running. We survived. I don't think they expected that. The breakthrough came when they analyzed the alien voice recordings. Dr. Lisa Wong, a linguistics expert, made the discovery that changed everything. I've been studying how their language works, she explained to the research team. The way they talk about conflict, about war, about fighting. They have very few words for these concepts, and the words they do have are all about quick, clean victories. What does that mean? Asked Dr. Vasquez. It means they've never experienced total war. They've never had to fight for survival. When they said we were from a death world, they weren't just insulting us. They were afraid. The realization spread through Earth's leadership like wildfire. The aliens weren't just more advanced. They were soft. They had lived in peace for so long that they had forgotten how to really fight. General Stone called an emergency meeting of all military commanders. We need to change our entire strategy. We've been planning to fight a defensive war, but what if we don't have to? Colonel Maria Santos, who commanded Earth's Marine Forces, understood immediately. You're saying we should hit them first. I'm saying we should hit them hard, fast, before they can bring their full strength to bear. The plans began to take shape. Small, fast ships that could strike and disappear. Tactics that no civilized species would ever use. Weapons that were crude but effective. But the real advantage was becoming clear to everyone involved in the preparations. Earth hadn't just created humans. It had created survivors. Captain Rick Davis was put in command of the new battleship Defiance. It wasn't the prettiest ship ever built, it wasn't the most advanced, but it was tough and it was built for war. The aliens made a mistake, he told his crew during their first briefing. They attacked us thinking we were weak. They don't understand that everything about Earth makes us strong. As the preparations continued, scout ships reported troubling news. Massive alien fleets were moving through space, heading toward Earth. The Vorthan Empire had decided that the Death World problem needed to be solved permanently. But Earth was ready. For the first time in human history, the entire planet was united with a single purpose. Every nation, every person, every resource was focused on the coming battle. The aliens thought they were coming to destroy a primitive species. Instead, they were about to discover what happened when you attacked a world that had spent millions of years teaching its children how to survive. The Deathworlders were waiting. The Vorthon invasion fleet came out of hyperspace like a crystal storm. 300 ships, each one beautiful and deadly. They moved in perfect formation, their hulls glowing with inner light. Commander Zethkar stood on the bridge of his flagship, expecting to see a primitive world cowering in fear. Instead, he saw a solar system ready for war. "What is this?" Zethkar demanded, staring at the tactical display. Hundreds of human ships were spread throughout the system. Weapons platforms orbited every planet. Minefields blocked the major shipping lanes. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the Deathworlders appear to have militarized their entire system. I count over 400 combat vessels." Zethkar's crystalline features twisted in disgust. "Impossible. Our intelligence said they had only a few dozen ships, all of them explorers and miners." "Sir, many of these ships appear to be converted civilian vessels. They've turned cargo ships into warships." Captain Rick Davis stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching the alien fleet on his screen. His ship wasn't pretty like the alien vessels. It was built from steel and determination. Scars from the construction process still showed on its hull. "All ships, this is command. Execute Battle Plan Alpha. Remember, they fight with rules. We fight to win." The battle began unlike anything the Vorthons had ever experienced. Instead of formal challenges and honorable combat, the humans struck from everywhere at once. Captain Nina Wright commanded the stealth ship Ghost Runner. Her vessel was small, fast, and nearly invisible to alien sensors. She led a pack of similar ships in hit-and-run attacks against the Vorthon supply vessels. "Target their fuel ships first," she ordered her weapons officer. "They can't fight without energy." The Ghost Runner slipped between the larger alien vessels like a shark among whales. Her crew had trained for this moment, learning to fight in the dark spaces between stars where honor meant nothing, and survival meant everything. The Vorthons tried to respond with their traditional tactics. They formed battle lines and fired coordinated volleys. But the humans refused to fight that way. Captain Sam Murphy brought the Iron Horse charging directly at the alien flagship. Her converted mining ship was ugly and scarred, but it was built to survive in the worst conditions space could offer. "All power to forward shields," she ordered. "We're going right through their line." The alien weapons struck her ship again and again. The Iron Horse shook and sparked, but it didn't stop. It smashed through the Vorthon formation like a hammer, through glass. "These Deathworlders fight without honor." Zethkar raged as he watched his perfect formation dissolve into chaos. But the real shock came when Colonel Maria Santos launched her marine assault. While the space battle raged, small human ships slipped past the alien defenses and attached themselves to Vorthon vessels. "Cutting through their hull now," reported Commander Alex Turner, as his Marines used plasma torches to burn their way into an alien cruiser. The Vorthons had never experienced boarding actions. Their ships weren't designed to repel invaders. Turner's Marines fought their way through corridors that looked like the inside of a crystal cave. The aliens they encountered were tall and elegant, but they moved slowly and seemed confused by the violence. "They don't know how to fight hand-to-hand," Turner radioed back to his command ship. "It's like they've never been in a real fight before." The Marine assault teams discovered something that changed the entire battle. The crystalline aliens were physically fragile. A punch that would barely hurt a human could shatter their delicate bones. They were beautiful and advanced, but they were weak. On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Davis watched the battle turn in humanity's favor. The alien ships were more advanced, but they couldn't adapt to human tactics. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the enemy flagship is trying to retreat." "Not a chance," Davis replied. "All ships converge on the flagship. Don't let it escape." Commander Zethkar watched in horror as human ships swarmed around his vessel. His perfect, beautiful ship was being torn apart by crude weapons wielded by creatures he had dismissed as savages. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "We are the Vorthon Empire. We have ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years." His tactical officer, a younger Vorthon named Ethnor, looked at the data streaming across his screen. Sir, I think I understand. We've been fighting civilized wars for so long that we've forgotten how to fight uncivilized ones. What do you mean? The Deathworlders don't follow our rules. They don't fight for honor or glory. They fight to survive, and their world has been teaching them to survive for millions of years. As if to prove his point, the Iron Horse rammed directly into the flagship's side. The impact sent shockwaves through both ships, but the human vessel kept fighting while the Vorthon ship began to break apart. On Earth, billions of people watched the battle on their screens. In military command centers, generals and admirals watched their plans work better than they had dared to hope. The alien fleet is breaking apart, reported Admiral Taylor. They're trying to retreat on all fronts. President Brooks stood in the Situation Room watching humanity's first space battle. How many ships have we lost? 17 destroyed, 43 damaged but still fighting. The aliens have lost over 100 ships and the rest are running. The retreat became a rout. The Vorthon ships that could still move fled toward hyperspace jump points. The ships that couldn't were either destroyed or surrendered. But the most important victory came when Commander Turner's Marines captured the bridge of an alien cruiser. The Vorthon crew surrendered without fighting, something that shocked the humans. "We yield," the alien captain said through the translation device. "We surrendered to the Deathworlders." Turner looked around the crystal bridge with its delicate controls and beautiful decorations. Everything was designed for beings who expected peace and order. "Why did you attack us?" Turner asked. "Because we were afraid," the alien captain replied. "The galaxy has been peaceful for so long. When we saw creatures from a death world reaching for the stars, we panicked. We thought you would bring chaos and war." Turner almost laughed. "So you brought war to us first?" "Yes. That was our mistake." As the battle ended and the surviving alien ships fled, the captured Vorthon communications revealed something that would change everything. News of the human victory was already spreading across the galaxy. Species that had lived under Vorthon protection for centuries were learning that the mighty empire could be defeated. Worlds that had been forced to pay tribute were beginning to rebel. On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Davis received a priority message from Earth. "Captain, this is Admiral Taylor. You did it. The alien fleet is in full retreat. But we're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. It seems like everyone out there wants to talk to us now." Davis looked at the retreating alien ships and then at his own battered fleet. The humans had won their first space battle, but somehow he knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy had awakened something it didn't understand. The Deathworlders were no longer hiding on their dangerous planet. They were reaching for the stars, and nothing would ever be the same. 6 months after the Great Battle, Ambassador Lucy Chen walked through the halls of the Galactic Council station. The massive structure was bigger than any city on Earth, but it felt strangely quiet. Every alien she passed stopped and stared at her. She was the first human to ever enter these halls. Behind her walked a small group of human diplomats and guards. They were here because the galaxy had begged them to come. "Ambassador Chen," said a tall blue-skinned alien who approached her. "I am Council Speaker Veltar of the Zalathi people. We have been waiting for you." Lucy nodded politely. "Thank you for the invitation, Speaker, though I understand the circumstances are unusual." That was putting it mildly. The Vorthon Empire was falling apart. Species across the galaxy were rebelling against their former masters. Pirates and warlords were taking advantage of the chaos. The peaceful galaxy that had existed for 1,000 years was crumbling, and everyone was looking to the humans for help. In the main council chamber, representatives from hundreds of species had gathered. Lucy had studied files on as many of them as possible, but it was overwhelming. There were water-breathing Nerians in special tanks, gas-based ethereals floating in containment fields, and dozens of other species she couldn't even identify. "The situation is desperate," Speaker Veltar explained as he led Lucy to the center of the chamber. "The Vorthon Empire kept order through fear. Now that you have proven they can be defeated, that order is collapsing." Lucy took her place at the speaker's podium. The chamber fell silent. Hundreds of alien eyes focused on her. "I know why you asked us here," she began. "You want Earth to replace the Vorthons. You want us to become the new galactic police force." Murmurs. ran through the chamber. Some aliens nodded eagerly, others looked worried. But that's not who we are, Lucy continued. We didn't fight the Vorthons to conquer the galaxy. We fought them because they attacked us first. An alien that looked like a walking tree raised one of its branch-like arms. Then what do you propose, Deathworlder? The galaxy needs order. Lucy smiled. The galaxy needs to learn to protect itself. Meanwhile, in Earth's solar system, Admiral Pete Harrison stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Earthbreaker. His fleet was escorting a convoy of refugee ships from the outer rim worlds. The refugees were fleeing from the Crimson Horde, a group of raiders who had been terrorizing helpless planets since the Vorthon collapse. The Horde had expected easy prey. They hadn't expected to run into a human patrol fleet. Admiral, his communications officer reported, we're receiving a distress call from the Nurian colony ship. The raiders are attacking them. Harrison looked at the tactical display. The Crimson Horde had 6 warships attacking a defenseless colony transport. It was exactly the kind of bullying that had been common before humans arrived on the galactic scene. All ships, battle stations. Let's show these raiders what happens when they pick on innocent people. The battle was quick and decisive. The Crimson Horde ships were designed to prey on weak targets. When they faced human warships crewed by veterans of the Vorthon War, they didn't stand a chance. But the real victory came afterward. Captain Roy Mitchell, who commanded one of the escort ships, watched as Nurian civilians emerged from their hiding places. Thank you, the Nurian colony leader said through the translation device. The Horde has been hunting our people for months. The Vorthons would have demanded tribute for protection. You ask for nothing, Captain Mitchell shrugged. Helping people isn't something you charge for. Back on the Galactic Council station, Lucy Chen was meeting with smaller groups of species representatives. The formal council sessions were important, but the real work happened in these private meetings. We want to learn, said Dr. Kithara, a Zalathi scientist. Your people have something we lack. You call it courage, but it's more than that. It's the ability to fight when fighting seems impossible. Lucy nodded. That's what our world taught us. But it's not something you can just give to someone. It, has to be earned. Then teach us how to earn it. That conversation led to one of the most important decisions in galactic history. Earth began accepting alien volunteers for military training, not to create soldiers for human armies, but to help other species build their own defense forces. Director Kate Sullivan oversaw the establishment of the first training academy on New Terra, humanity's first interstellar colony. The planet was harsh by galactic standards, but not as harsh as Earth. It was perfect for teaching aliens how to be strong. The key, Kate explained to her staff, is not to make them human. It's to help them find their own strength. The first class of alien cadets was small, 20 volunteers from 5 different species. They struggled with the physical training and the harsh conditions. But gradually, something changed in them. Lieutenant Ben Parker, a human instructor, watched a young Zalathi cadet named Velron complete an obstacle course that would have been impossible for most of his species. How do you feel? Ben asked. Velron was breathing hard, his blue skin flushed with effort. I feel alive. Like I never knew I could be this strong. The changes weren't just physical. Species that had been passive for centuries began to stand up for themselves. The Nurians formed their own defense fleet. The Zalathi established planetary militias. Even the peaceful ethereals began developing new technologies for protection. But the most dramatic change came from an unexpected source. Ethnor, the young Vorthon officer who had been captured during the battle, approached the human embassy with a proposal. My people have been rulers for so long that we forgot how to be anything else, he said to Ambassador Chen. But some of us want to learn. We want to earn our place in this new galaxy. That led to the formation of the first mixed species defense force. Humans, reformed Vorthons, Zalathi, Narians, and others working together to protect the weak and maintain peace. Captain Jake Morrison, promoted to Commodore after his role in First Contact, found himself commanding this mixed fleet. His flagship, the Liberator, carried crews from a dozen different species. 6 months ago, we were alone in the universe, he told his mixed crew as they prepared for their first joint mission. Now we're part of something bigger, something better. Their target was the Skull Nebula, where the Black Talon Syndicate had been enslaving entire populations. The Syndicate had terrorized the Outer Rim for decades, protected by Vorthan indifference and the helplessness of their victims. As the mixed fleet approached the Syndicate's stronghold, Jake opened a channel to all ships. Remember, we're not here to conquer or rule. We're here to free people who can't free themselves, and to show the galaxy that the age of bullies and tyrants is over. The battle was fierce but brief. The Syndicate's ships were powerful, but their crews had never faced opponents who fought with both human determination and alien ingenuity. The mixed fleet's tactics combined the best of multiple species. When the fighting ended, Jake stood on the bridge watching as thousands of freed slaves emerged from the Syndicate's prison ships. Aliens of dozens of species, all of them grateful to be free. Commodore, his Vorthan second-in-command Ethanor said quietly, "I think I finally understand what you humans mean by justice." Jake nodded. "It's not about being strong. It's about using your strength to protect those who can't protect themselves." The final scene showed Jake's fleet returning to Earth, escorting a convoy of freed slaves to new homes. But they weren't alone. Ships from the Galactic Council, the Zalathi Defense Force, the Narration fleet, and even reformed Vorthan squadrons joined the convoy. The galaxy had learned the lesson that Earth had been trying to teach. Sometimes the only way to preserve peace was to be willing to fight for it. And sometimes the greatest strength came not from ruling others, but from helping them find their own power. As the great convoy approached Earth, Jake smiled. The Deathworlders had awakened something in the galaxy, not fear but hope. The age of empires was ending. The age of cooperation was just beginning.